Your dog did something today that you laughed at. Maybe they were chewing the corner of the couch. Maybe they were running laps around the living room for no reason. Maybe they were staring at the wall or barking at nothing, or shredding a paper towel they found on the floor. You laughed. You took a video. You posted it. And your dog kept doing it. Here is what no one ever told you about those moments. What looks like comedy is often your dog's nervous system sending out a distress signal that has gone unanswered for weeks. Not because you are a bad owner. Because nobody ever taught you what boredom actually looks like in a dog, and what it quietly does to them over time when it goes unaddressed. By the end of this video, you will never laugh off those moments the same way again. There are 7 signs to cover. And number 1 is the one that changes everything, because it is the sign that is happening right now in your home, and you have been reading it completely backwards. Welcome to PAW'S Mind. If you are new here, subscribe right now because this channel goes deep into what your dog is actually experiencing. Not just what they are doing, but what is happening inside their mind when they do it. Today we are going through 7 signs that your dog is not just bored in the casual sense. They are understimulated at a neurological level. And that understimulation is doing real, measurable damage to their behavior, their health, and the bond between you. Some of these signs are obvious. Others are things you have been watching every day without realizing what they mean. Number 1 is the sign that most owners never connect to boredom at all, and it is the most important thing on this list. Stay for it. Sign 7. They destroy things when you are not watching, but never when you are. You come home and something has been destroyed. Pillow, a shoe, the edge of the baseboard near the kitchen. And when you find it, your dog is across the room, doing their best impression of an animal who has no idea what happened. Most owners assume this is spite. They think the dog is punishing them for leaving. Some assume it is separation anxiety. A few assume it is just a destructive personality. All of them are wrong about the cause. Here is what is actually happening. A dog's brain was built for a level of environmental engagement that the average domestic home does not provide. Dogs were bred across thousands of years to track, to problem solve, to work alongside humans in conditions that required constant decision-making. When that need is not met, the brain does not simply go quiet. It generates its own stimulation. And in the absence of anything more interesting, that stimulation gets directed at whatever is physically available. The destruction happens when you are gone for a specific reason. When you are present, your presence alone provides low-level environmental stimulation. Your movement, your scent shifting, your sounds. When you leave, that stimulation disappears entirely. And a brain that has been running at a deficit for days reaches a threshold and discharges. Into the couch cushion. Into your favorite shoes. Into whatever has the most interesting texture or smell in the immediate environment. Research published in the Journal of Veterinary Behavior has found that destructive behavior in dogs correlates significantly with low daily mental stimulation rather than time spent alone. It is not the absence of you that causes the destruction. It is the absence of anything worth doing. The destruction is not your dog being bad. It is your dog's brain doing the only thing it was given to do that day. But the sign that comes next is the one most owners are actually watching happen in real time and actively laughing at. Keep watching. Sign 6. The zoom eyes happen every single evening, and they are getting more intense. Frenetic random activity periods. The scientific term for the zoom eyes. Most owners know them as that 5-minute window where the dog loses their mind for no apparent reason. Runs in circles, bounces off furniture, and then collapses like a switch was flipped. Most owners love this. It is funny. It is cute. They video it and send it to everyone they know. Here is what is actually happening inside the dog's body during a Zoom episode. Dogs were biologically designed to cover between 15 and 30 miles per day depending on breed. The average domestic dog covers somewhere between 1 and 3. The gap between what the body was built for and what the day actually provided does not disappear. It accumulates in the nervous system as excess arousal with no outlet. When that excess hits a threshold, the motor system triggers a full discharge. That is the zoom. What most owners do not realize is that the frequency and intensity of Zoom episodes are a direct readout of how understimulated the dog has been that day. A dog who gets adequate physical and mental engagement throughout the day has a lower discharge threshold to hit. Their zooms, if they happen at all, are shorter and less frantic. A dog who has spent 10 hours on the couch and 2 hours in the backyard hits that threshold every single evening like clockwork. The zooms are not a personality quirk. They are a measurement. They are your dog's nervous system showing you exactly how much was left unused. The behavioral issue is not the zoom eyes themselves. The issue is what they tell you about the rest of the day. If your dog is zooming every evening with increasing intensity, their days are not providing enough. Not enough movement, not enough scent, not enough decision-making. A study from the University of Bristol found that dogs who received daily mental enrichment, scent games, training sessions, food puzzles, showed significantly reduced frenetic activity episodes compared to dogs who only received equivalent physical exercise. The brain needs to be tired, not just the body. But there is a sign on this list that looks nothing like energy. It looks like the opposite. And it is the one most owners mistake for the dog being content. Stay with me. Sign 5. They sleep far more than usual, but they never seem rested. The average adult dog sleeps between 12 and 14 hours in a 24-hour period. That is their baseline. But there is a specific kind of sleep pattern that looks like rest and is not. A bored dog sleeps not because they are tired. They sleep because there is nothing else to do. The sleep is shallow, frequently interrupted, and position shifting. You will see them move from the couch to the floor to the doorway to the rug in the span of 2 hours. They will lift their head at every small sound. They will change position before they have even settled into the last one. Animal cognition researchers describe this as displacement sleeping. Rest entered not from genuine fatigue but from the absence of any other available stimulation. The brain is not in a recovery state during displacement sleep. It is idling, and an idling brain is not resting. It is waiting, and waiting without any expectation of something arriving is a form of chronic low-grade stress. The signal is in what happens when you move. A genuinely rested dog wakes when they are ready. A boredom-sleeping dog startles into full alertness the moment you shift your weight in the next room. They were never truly asleep. They were suspended between boredom and hope. This pattern, when it continues for weeks, has a measurable neurological effect. Research published in Physiology and Behavior found that dogs in chronically low-stimulation environments showed elevated baseline cortisol levels consistent with mild but sustained stress responses, even in the absence of any obvious external stressor. The understimulation itself was the stressor. Your dog is not relaxed when they are sleeping through half the day in a rotating circuit of furniture. They are waiting for something to happen. And before we go further, remember what I told you about number 1. The sign that most owners are reading completely backwards. We are almost there. Stay with me. Sign 4. They have developed a fixation, and they cannot stop doing it. A fixation is a repetitive behavior that has become ritualized. Chasing shadows or light reflections. Staring at a specific corner of the ceiling for long stretches. Spinning before lying down, but more times than makes sense. 8 rotations, 12 more. Licking the same spot on the floor every morning. Carrying one specific object from room to room without any apparent purpose. Most owners observe these behaviors and consider them quirks. Personality. Just something their dog does. Animal behaviorists classify these as stereotypies, repetitive, invariant behaviors that develop when an animal's environmental complexity is insufficient to occupy their cognitive capacity. They are documented across species in environments that do not meet biological needs. They are not personality. They are adaptation. The brain, deprived of meaningful input, generates its own loop. In dogs, the most common fixations are light and shadow chasing, object carrying, and repetitive licking of surfaces. Light chasing in particular is frequently misread as playfulness. The dog is not playing. They are in a behavioral loop that, once established, becomes increasingly difficult to interrupt and increasingly detached from normal reward. Research published in Applied Animal Behavior Science found that stereotypic behaviors in dogs are significantly more prevalent in animals with restricted environmental stimulation, and that the behaviors persist and intensify without intervention, even when the original deprivation is later addressed. The groove wears deeper over time. If your dog has a fixation, something they do repeatedly that has no clear function and that seems to pull them in regardless of what else is available, that is not a quirk. That is a signal. And the longer it goes unaddressed, the harder it becomes to interrupt. Sign 3. They have started barking at things that were never a problem before. The neighbor walking past. Car door closing. The sound of someone's television through the wall. Things that were background noise 6 months ago have become triggers that pull your dog to the window with full alarm response. Most owners assume their dog is getting more protective. Some assume they are becoming reactive. A few assume the neighborhood has simply gotten louder. Here is what has actually changed. A dog that is receiving adequate cognitive and physical engagement during the day has a higher threshold for what registers as significant. Their nervous system is occupied. The background noise of the world is background noise. A dog who has been understimulated for weeks has a nervous system sitting at a heightened baseline. The gap between their current arousal level and their threshold for alert response has narrowed. Things that were once filtered out now break through because the filter is stretched thin by the chronic deprivation underneath it. The barking is not about the neighbor. It is about what the dog's nervous system looks like after weeks of having nothing meaningful to process. Any input, including meaningless input, becomes significant because the brain is reaching for stimulation wherever it can find it. Research on canine reactive behavior has consistently found that dogs with low daily enrichment show measurably lower sensory thresholds. They are more easily triggered by minor environmental events, compared to dogs with high daily mental engagement. The reactivity is a symptom. The understimulation is the cause. When the barking at nothing started, something had already been going wrong for a while. Sign 2. They follow you from room to room, but the moment you sit down, they do not settle. This one is specific, and it is worth paying close attention to because the pattern tells you something the behavior alone does not. A dog who follows you because of secure attachment will follow you into a room and settle near you. They wanted proximity. They found it. The need is met. A bored dog follows you because movement is the most stimulating thing available to them in that moment. When you stop moving, the stimulus disappears. So they circle. They paw at you. They pick something up and drop it. They look toward the door and back at you. They lie down, get up 30 seconds later, and lie down somewhere else. They are not anxious. They are not insecurely attached. They are running a search program for stimulation, and you are the most promising lead in the building. The distinction matters because the response to secure attachment following and boredom following is completely different. If you respond to boredom following by giving the dog more attention, more petting, more couch time, more proximity, you are addressing the symptom without touching the cause. The search program keeps running. The behavior escalates. Animal cognition researchers at the Family Dog Project have documented that dogs in low-stimulation environments direct significantly more social attention-seeking behavior toward their owners than dogs with adequate daily enrichment. Not because they are more bonded, but because the owner becomes the primary available source of novel input. Your dog does not need more of you. Your dog needs more of the world. Sign 1. They have stopped bringing you things, and you never noticed it was gone. Think back. When did your dog last bring you something on their own? Not because you threw it. Not during a play session you initiated. Spontaneously, walking across the room toward you with something in their mouth, tail moving, eyes on your face, dropping it at your feet or pressing it into your hand. For some owners reading this, that last happened months ago. For others, they cannot remember the last time at all. And they never noticed it stopped. Here is what that behavior actually is, and what its disappearance means. Spontaneous object offering is one of the most cognitively and emotionally complex behaviors a domestic dog performs. It requires the dog to form an intention. I want to connect with this person. Select a means of expressing it, this object, execute a social approach, cross the room, make contact, and monitor the outcome. It is not instinctive in the way that barking is instinctive. It is generated. It requires a dog whose inner world has enough space, enough energy, enough unused curiosity and affection to reach outward toward you with something. A dog who is mentally exhausted from nothing, who has been idling in low-stimulation boredom until their nervous system is running at deficit, does not have that generative capacity anymore. The gesture requires surplus. Boredom consumes it. What is left goes toward threshold barking and couch destruction and displacement sleep and shadow fixation. Research in canine social behavior has found that spontaneous affiliative gestures, voluntary social initiations from dog to owner including object presentation, nose nudges, and proximity seeking without food motivation, correlate directly with the dog's daily enrichment level and overall behavioral welfare. Not with how much the dog loves their owner, with how much space is left inside them to express it. A dog who is bored to the point of behavioral deterioration does not stop loving you. They stop having enough left to show you. That toy they used to bring you every morning, the one that made you feel like the most important person in the world, was not random. It was your dog's surplus. It was everything they had left over after the day was handled, given to you because you were the best thing they could think of to give it to. When the toy stopped appearing at your feet, it was not because they forgot. It was because the day stopped leaving anything over. So the next time you walk through the door and your dog comes to greet you, but empty-mouthed, where they used to arrive carrying something, know what you are actually witnessing. You are not seeing a dog who has calmed down or grown up or stopped being playful. You are seeing a dog who has been quietly running on empty for longer than either of you realized, waiting for the day to give them enough left over to bring to you again. That is the sign. And now you know how to read it. Here is what all 7 of these signs have in common. None of them look like suffering from the outside. They look like comedy. They look like personality. They look like a dog being a dog. The chewed couch is funny until you know it is a brain with nowhere to go. The evening zoom eyes are adorable until you know they are a nervous system discharging what the day failed to use. The barking at nothing is annoying until you know the threshold dropped because the filter was stretched too thin. The empty-mouthed greeting is neutral until you know what used to be carried there. Your dog cannot tell you that their days are too empty. They cannot schedule their own enrichment. They cannot leave a note. All they can do is show you, in the only language available to them, that something is wrong. And now you know how to read it. 10 minutes of scent work. A 5-minute training session in the morning. Puzzle feeder at meals. One new smell from outside brought into the house for them to investigate. These are not extras. For a dog's brain, they are maintenance. And a dog whose brain is maintained is a dog who has enough left over to cross the room and bring it to you. If this video changed the way you see your dog's behavior, share it with someone who has been laughing off the signs. It might be the most important thing that happens to their dog this year. Subscribe to PAW'S Mind. We go deep on what is actually happening inside your dog every single week. Not just what they are doing, but what it means and what it costs them when it goes unread. And before you go, if your dog follows you everywhere, even into the bathroom, even when nothing is happening, there is a reason behind it that goes deeper than habit, deeper than attachment. That video is next.